From friends to lovers,
to kisses and cuddles,
you're doing it
God's way.
This is Stronger Together, Closer to God. Hey fam, welcome to Stronger Together, Closer to God. This is Minister Vernon. And in today's episode, caregiving can strain your most important relationships, leaving you feeling isolated in your own home. But this isn't a sign of failure. Actually, it's a common challenge that we as caregivers, you can navigate through with grace and wisdom. And in today's message, my wife and I are concluding the third part of our series on caregiving resilience. And we're talking about the importance of spending the time together to communicate. Despite all the challenges, despite all the situations and circumstances that might come our way, we anchor ourselves in the love of Christ and the love of each other to persevere and move forward. This last episode of what we're talking about in our 3-part series about caregiving resilience, this has been a life-changing kind of episode, and I hope it has been a blessing to everybody. Caregiving changes everything, especially our closest relationships. Have you ever felt tension between you and your potential mate, spouse, friends, or family? Today, we talk about navigating these shifts and finding the ultimate reward. And in this powerful conclusion, we discuss protecting your marriage, finding community support, and embracing the profound love and purpose that emerge from your caregiving journey. And a lot of people, when they see us, they think everything is just sunshine and lollipops when it comes to our relationship. And
It is.
for the most part.
It is.
But there are moments, right?
Yeah, we have moments.
And sometimes it's not because of something each other did. It's just the stress and the challenges of caregiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes it can be a lot of friction that might happen, and it's not intentional. It's just that we're exhausted. We might have different expectations and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that caregiving is taking just left room open for intimacy either, because in reality, a lot of times, because we're caring for our loved ones, it takes it takes a pause.
You have to put all our business on Front Street right now, huh? I'll say it. I mean, I know for myself, I felt a little funny when we first got married and my father-in-law lived with us, and we've been caregiving our whole entire marriage. Literally, we have. I mean, it was 9 months into our marriage. We were almost married for a year. And yeah, that lack of intimacy, not so much the lack of intimacy, but just the privacy part, I think. So, yeah.
Because especially when you are now got a family member moving in, living with you, it can change the dynamics.
Yeah, because it was first your dad, and we got comfortable, and then my dad, and I don't think I'm still not comfortable with that. And then not only my dad, but my mom, her room was literally our headboards were...
Could have talked to each other.
Yeah, literally. We were in rooms next. But neither one of my parents have ever expressed, hearing us I mean, we're all adults, but I just felt some kind of way, I think. How did you feel about it?
I felt that way too. It was like your eyes were kind of looking around like, are they listening in to what's going on?
But how did you feel with your dad at first?
Same.
Oh, the same? Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I don't know if it's because we lived longer together. All three of us lived longer together. To me, it became kind of normal, natural.
And natural.
Yeah. And I don't know, age, we're talking about 11 years in now. So age has something to do with it. And just like you said, exhaustion, being exhausted from caregiving, especially when we've gone to doctor's appointments or taken our parents out or our loved ones out. It's like, whew, all we want to do is get home, sometimes take a shower, sometimes not take a shower, sometimes watch TV, sometimes not watch TV. Just get something to eat and take our clothes off and pajamas on and in the bed, and we're knocked out. So
yeah. And I think it just goes back to the vows. We
Yeah.
talked about our vows that we always are thinking on that richer, health,
Yeah.
and we don't think about the other pieces.
Poor or sickness or
And I think it's very important that we have to realize that if you are in a marriage and you have a situation like this where one of your significant others is going through where they got to step up in the role of caregiving,
right.
it's very important that y'all have that communication with each other. I think that was the first thing that was really established in our relationship is this emphasizing honest, open dialogue with our spouse and key loved ones. And even if you're not married, maybe you're single in this scenario, maybe you have siblings and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, that communication is still important there as well, because like Colossians chapter 4, verse 6 reminds us, let every word you speak be drenched with grace and tempered with truth and clarity, for then you will be prepared to give a respectful answer to anyone who asks about your faith. I think this is a very important scripture because it was just reminding me that even in those moments of being exhausted or being frustrated, I had to make sure to check in with myself and be able to be clear in my conversations with lovies. And you'll hear us call ourselves loves and lovies from time to time. But I think it was very important that we did that. But it was moments and times where something might have been said and she would look at me and she'd be like, love. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can, after a while, after you've been married for a while, you can feel the temperature of your spouse. And I could tell sometimes because he is so loving and so patient and so gentle. And when he would kind of be a little snappy, that was unusual. So I was like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" And then I have to remember too, he's human. He's tired. Back then he wasn't working outside the home as much, but he was still working. But now it's like he's working full-time, part-time, doing our business, doing the podcast, making sure I'm okay, taking care of my parents. There's times when I wasn't feeling my best and he would leave and go from work, check on my dad and I here, and then go and take care and check on my mom. So that's a lot. That's a lot. So you have to check in with your spouse or the other person, whether, it's your spouse or a sibling or whatever, and just check in with them and see what their needs may be too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's very important that you set boundaries, realistic boundaries in caregiving to protect that sacred time with each other. So like Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 reminds us to guard your heart more than anything else because the source of your life flows from it. And so there were moments and times where I had to make sure to protect that time with each other, one another. So it would be moments and times. I would even tell my dad, I'll be like, okay, dad, you good? Okay, I'm going to spend some time with my lovies. He understood. He would nod his head and be like, yes, please do that.
If it was up to your dad, he'd probably be like, no, go.
Go, right.
You need to spend a little more time
with
with her.
her, yeah.
But I also had to realize not to be selfish because there was times where I was pouty and I was like, well, you're not spending enough time with me. And I was feeling some kind of way. And, God had to remind me of that too. Like, you have to give him time, give him grace to spend time with his dad and to do for his dad and things like that. So I had to learn those things too. I had to grow up and not be so selfish of wanting all of his time too, because he needed to spend time with his dad, not only as a caregiver, but as a son. And, I realized that when hospice came in. Like I heard the hospice nurses say, you needed to take your caregiver hat off and be a son because, that relationship with you and your dad, that father-son relationship needed to be nurtured and you needed that time too, because we don't know. We don't know the day, the hour, the time when either we go home to be with the Lord as caregivers or our loved ones go home to be with the Lord.
Yeah,
So.
and it's very profound you say that, because now my shift is the same, is in that direction too. Like, I understand that her priorities are taking care of both of her parents. I'm trying to be the helpmate.
And you do a phenomenal job
to see how I can support her and along the way. And
he does.
Yeah. So and that's where those small efforts are very important.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, it says, we can't allow ourselves to get tired of living the right way.
Yeah.
Certainly each of us will receive everlasting life at the proper time if we don't give up. Yeah. And so those small, consistent efforts can sustain connections. Mm-hmm. It's the washing of the dishes. It's the taking the basket of clothes downstairs. Yeah. It's the taking clothes out of the dryer and folding them. It's stepping in those areas in this time of season where she will typically probably do that with no problems, no concerns about it. But I know that she's exhausted. She's tired. How can I step up in those moments?
Or asking my dad what he wants for dinner or for breakfast, when my dad takes a while to make those decisions, or he will talk to loves. That's funny too. We talk about this, where our loved ones talk to each of us a little different. Like, mm-hmm. Loves can go in and talk to my mom, and it could be a pleasant conversation, and I can go in and she could snap my head off. And I remember when my father-in-law was alive, it was vice versa. It was the same way, where I could go in and talk to him and he would give me words, and Loves would go in and talk to him and it would be silence. So
silence or the hum.
Or the hum.
And like you said, I felt I felt jealous in a way. I was like, he talking to her, but he talking to her, he talking to the nurses. But when it comes to me, like, I was oh, okay, I see how this goes.
I don't feel jealous with my mom. I'm like, woo, as long as somebody can go in there and calm her down and be that light, I welcome them.
Yeah, and that's how I had to approach it eventually. God had to remind me of that. It was like, hear that. Don't be upset. Be the blessing. And it was funny. I'll probably share one time later in the podcast that humming is also something that's mentioned in the Bible as well. Mm-hmm. So that really comforted me as well. It was, and really understanding that's a form of communication to heaven. So I really accept that as much. Your relationship are worth fighting for. Despite the tension between you and your spouse over intimacy, over the friendship that fades, or the challenges that you encounter, know that honest communication, setting love boundaries, and valuing small moments, you can protect your connection from the strain of caregiving. It's very important. Make sure that you're doing the communication, make sure you're setting those boundaries, and make sure that you're not giving up, that you're doing those small acts, those small efforts that can relieve the stress, the tension, the pressure from your mate. In the next episode, we will conclude this series and we will talk about how we look at using others to help us support us. Sometimes it can come from family members, and then sometimes God can send you angels that are friends or even strangers that can help encourage your loved one and give you the space and the time that you need to build the relationship with your mate. Thank you for joining us on Stronger Together, Closer to God. We truly hope today's message has equipped and encouraged you. For a deeper dive, check the show's notes right now for a special free resource to help you apply today's insight. If you feel called to help us even reach more couples and individuals seeking stronger relationships and a closer walk with God, please consider partnering with us at s2c2gministry.com and click on the Partners tab. Your support truly amplifies our mission. Until next time, peace and blessings to all of you.